If you are someone who has not been progressing and you are currently training with sufficient volume every week, then taking a look at your intensity is something that you might want to do. And I will share with you the way I had to reset my training to get back on track. If you are like me, when I started lifting, I was really focused on adding more sets, increasing the volume. I thought the more volume I did, the bigger I would get. I got this mentality from looking at programs written by Arnold of what he did prior to contest. I thought only if I could get up to his volume, then I'll be massive. After attempting this and burning out halfway through the program, or I would significantly lower my intensity just so I could finish a session, I realized volume doesn't equally correlate to getting bigger. I had to take a step back in my training and just hit the reset button. Because if I was making little to no progress on these programs, yet they worked for others, then there's nothing wrong with the program. But it just meant that the program wasn't working for me, and it most likely won't work for you. I learned this the hard way through experiencing it. So what I did after I ran these super high volume programs to reset myself is I did one set per muscle group for my first week of training, knowing that obviously that wasn't going to be enough. Then with each week after, I would add only one set, only if I felt I needed to. And the one thing I kept constant was intensity, and it was high. What is high intensity? Compounds are 1 to 2 reps away from failure, and isolations are 2 and beyond failure. As a natural lifter, I see no advantage to holding back in a set. If you want to grow, then you'll have to force yourself to grow. This is a good test to see how hard you really are training. I'd be willing to bet that a lot of you are doing a third set just because doing 3 sets is what you're supposed to do. Once you start training hard, then see how many sets you really need. I train with less sets now than when I did when I started, and I have definitely made noticeable progress since lowering my volume and increasing my intensity. I didn't drastically change my exercise selection. All I did was crank up the intensity and lower the volume. And for me, that is what has been the game changer and the reason why I'm still seeing progress today. People are going to respond differently to training. However, I do believe that keeping intensity high is how you will break out of your beginner phase, what you need to master to carry you through the intermediate stage. All of the great natural bodybuilders all have something in common if you look at the way they train, and that's that they go absolutely just insanely hard on every set. Because if you're natural, think about it. Do you really keep growing and get massive with training sets before they start to get hard? If this was the case, all of those people who have been in the gym for years yet still look subpar compared to the years they've spent in the gym, they would all look massive and have very impressive physiques by this point. But unfortunately, reality is that most people do not achieve this. Most people are not willing to put in what it takes to really build a great physique. If the answer was a shit ton of volume, don't you think that a lot more people would be jacked right now? I think people are looking to improve the easy stuff, like just do a bunch of sets, but with no accountability of their intensity of each set. It is my opinion, and I wasn't alive in the 20th century to see the training, but from documentation of the culture and in the gym nowadays, it really looks pathetic and embarrassing to how it used to be. And I'm talking about normal big box gyms where people are going because they want to get in shape. I got my home gym pretty early on, so I didn't train very long in a gym. But I do believe people would be looking at me weird for how hard I push my sets between the grunting, heavy breathing, sweat dripping onto the floor, my intensity on every set with failing all the time. I spent the better part of a year in a big box gym as a personal trainer, and I was there all day with several hundred people who walked in and out the door from the time the gym opened to the time it closed. And out of the 500 people, maybe I was lucky to see 5 people who were actually getting after their training. And for those who follow people who do all of this new age optimal training, or they do exercises that just seem goofy and they have phenomenal physiques, then they are most likely not natural. The steroid induced guys can do the fluff and pump shit and feel it on the machines, but if you're dedicated to the natural journey, then it's going to be hard training through and through every time. But in the end, you will reap so much more satisfaction than the other guys because you built your physique the real way, the hard way. And for a lot of you, you will need to learn how to train hard. You'll find out real quick that what you thought was hard training is not that hard. This will happen over time, and you'll have to become good at saying, yep, could have only gotten one more on that set, or yeah, there was definitely no way I was getting any more reps on that one. I know implementing this may seem hard, difficult, and tiring, but this is what separates the boys from the men. And if you want a physique that'll stand out, this is the path you'll need to take. It was at this time I realized I was going to need to start learning how to program for myself. Following other people's pre-made programs only took me so far and will likely only take you so far. But if you're serious about getting as jacked as you can and build as much muscle as you can, start learning today how to program for yourself that will build the physique that you want. Don't fall trap to the new methods of building muscle when we already know the best method.